Sister versus sister. Parallactic versus Verity. One magic caster fighting to protect her life/magic, and the other battling to erase and protect the memories that she shares with her sister, despite how painful they may be. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're talking all things episode 10 of the Cardfight Vanguard Divinez Parallactic Clash. And this episode gave us another sibling versus sibling card fight. But it was the emotional elements and the voice acting that set this episode alight. So, let's get into it. Now then, Kurumi, we got hints of this in the previous episode, but I like seeing how we understand how she got to experience all these things that she never had a chance to do so because of her death. Really making her desire to stay in this parallactic world even more clear and stronger. But we do get this mirroring of Garbelius, as both of these characters understand how their actions are wrong, yet they can't turn back now. Instead, they need to shoulder the pain that they will cause other people just to fuel their own ambitions. Kurumi playing the villain, calling herself a bad girl, was both a way for her to lie to herself, which helps justify her own actions in her mind, but also serves as a way to showcase her kindness. She knows that Kanami would be struggling emotionally. After all, if Kanami wins, she would effectively be killing her sister. So Kurumi playing this villain, an act of kindness, making the burden on Kanami easier, despite Kanami seeing right through the act. To be honest, what I loved most about this emotional display from Kurumi was the realisticness. Of course, having a life that was cut short, being in and out of hospital all of your life, and never experiencing what a teenager should, it's understandable that Kurumi, after getting this second chance of life, would want to keep it and do everything to keep a hold of said thing. And now she's having these opportunities with her friends and her sister. The idea of her wanting to keep them kind of makes sense. Is it selfish? Yes, of course. But loneliness can make a person selfish or greedy, and doing things that they know are wrong, but it's all they can do in order to fill that hole that is within their heart. Kanami this episode though was class. You could tell that she was not comfortable with this fight, which is completely understandable, yet her conviction never faltered. And her being the one to beat Kurumi was the correct decision. Learning how she cried and cried after Kurumi's passing, yet the promise to make it to the top in Vanguard is what kept her moving forward. This really helped to solidify her actions and makes it more impactful. It would have been so easy for Kanami to switch sides and be with Kurumi after finding out that her sister was alive in this world. And I did think the desire and the pain this thought caused the character was presented perfectly in her voice acting, and you could genuinely sense the desire and the pain within her voice when explaining this to Kurumi. Seeing Kanami's eyes fade at the end when she's forced to say goodbye to her sister once more was so heartbreaking. Making the choice to stay with her sister instead of going after Garbelius was an understandable move for the show, and it did make it easier to write her out for the final fight. Sometimes you just need to be alone and collect your thoughts. I kinda wish Kagetsu was there with her, but he kind of is, just not in soul, only in body, I guess. On a side note, seeing the farewell between Hikari and Kurumi was sweet, as is something that we haven't really explored within the show yet, and we know they never got a chance to say goodbye in the Verity. The fight itself was kind of secondary, let's be honest. It was the emotional interaction and conflict between the two that was the highlight, both refusing to lose or back down. The show really took the Akina versus Hikari match and intensified it tenfold. The music was soft, yet the sound effects were aggressive. The voice acting was emotional, giving off sadness, joy, heartbreak, resolve, and determination. The visuals were amazing. I loved how the units responded to their fighters' emotions and feelings, and the fighters' desires were displayed throughout the units clashing. It's something that I've spoken about in Yu-Gi-Oh! That they do a little bit, but in Vanguard we also see this element, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable when you see how hard the fighters are fighting and the units are responding. I will admit, this episode could have hit harder had we seen more of Kanami in the series before this arc started, but with the small segments of the sisters being together allowed this episode to still be amazing and deliver what it needed to deliver on. So with 2 episodes left, we finally get to Garbelius, and it's interesting how Hikari is still around. Will we get a fight between Hikari and Garbelius, as we know there's a connection between those two, or will we get a 2-parter for Akina versus Garbelius, allowing us to explore a lot of turns, but also have lots of padding room for a lot of talking, because we know that our boy Akina likes to talk. Anyway, I really enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Alligator matane. Goodbye.